Hi everyone, my name is Liz. Today, Margaret, Bovey, and I will present our research proposal about consumer perception on protein products in the current market. This research might serve as one of the guidelines for identifying the potential livestock protein replacement for future. Okay, let's move to the first part, the introduction. The market value of protein industry in Australia is currently on the rise. Animal proteins such as meat, milk, and plant-based protein like peas and vegetarian meats are two main types of the proteins at the current stage. It is observable that the market performance for both protein groups is improving. As we can see in the left chart, the market value of the plant-based protein has now surpassed that of the animal protein in recent years. However, other reports also claim that consumers still have preference to meat. Now, I would like to hand it over to Margaret, who is going to talk about our qualitative research plan.
Thank you, Liz. And now I'm going to talk about our qualitative research. So, our research problem would be explaining the rising trend of alternative as well as plant based protein in Australia by gaining a deeper understanding of consumers' perspective and purchasing intention for these products. Specifically, we'll be examining their opinions as well as identifying relevant aspects that may influence their purchasing decisions. Therefore, our qualitative research aims to gain a deeper insight into Australian consumers' perspective on the idea of using livestock-free proteins, as well as to investigate consumers' preference for the current alternative proteins which are available in the market. In addition, Guerrero has proposed that consumers' willingness to purchase food is based on multiple determinants that including psychological, marketing, as well as sensory factors. Therefore, our last research objective would be to identify factors that enhance consumers' willingness to purchase this type of product. We've come up with three research questions that including what are consumers' opinion on the idea of replacing livestock protein with other potential protein replacement? Secondly, what do consumers think about the current livestock-free produce on the market? And third, what are the appealing aspects that encourage consumers to try out these alternative proteins? Since our target market is Australian consumer, we are focused on customers who live in Sydney for convenience. On the one hand, young consumers aged 18 to 44 have shown an increasing interest in alternative protein consumption in recent years. The elderly, on the other hand, are more engaged in undertaking preventative actions to enhance their health. Therefore, our sample size would include 50 participants between the age of 15 and 65. We utilize convenience sampling, a form of non-probability sampling technique, to enhance efficiency in terms of time and expense. It has proven to be highly accessible for researchers due to geographically proximity and availability at a certain time with a limited budget. In addition, because of the flexibility and visibility, semi-structured interviews are ideal for gathering information in a social environment for qualitative research. So particularly, it's suitable for our study aims. We would utilize open-end and follow-up questions to encourage participants to openly express their opinions and experience. We'll also collect data from participants in high-density locations, as well as from volunteers connect through social media platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn. Popular supermarket location we have like Coles or Woolies or Aldi would be some of the sites we would also emphasize on. Furthermore, we interview pedestrians around town hall to broaden the diversity and variance of the participant. Besides the outdoor interviews, we also provide online call through Zoom to enhance engagement, especially with the online participants. And lastly, to avoid the problem of subjective viewpoints from various interviewers in semi-structured format, we only use one interviewer to be in charge of our interviewing process. And next, Bowie, can you talk about our quantitative research for this topic?
Sure. Thanks for Liz and Margot for your introduction on journal background and qualitative research of our proposal. In our qualitative research, we will focus on more specific researches about the relationship between our qualitative research findings and consumer behaviors. Our identified research problem is Although the vegan protein market is expanding rapidly, consumers still have a clear preference toward livestock protein products over livestock-free counterparts. This problem has also been identified by previous researchers. In order to determine the logic behind the research problem, our research objective for quantitative research would be to thoroughly examine consumers' preference toward livestock protein as well as the livestock-free protein products in the current market. Furthermore, identify to what extent the influential factors could affect the consumer's purchase intention in livestock-free counterparts. In order to achieve these research objectives, we are going to answer two research questions. First, what are the most important factors that influence consumer perspective on purchasing livestock-free protein rather than livestock-produced counterparts? Second, what are the factors we found in the qualitative research have a significant relationship with consumers' decision on purchasing plant-based protein products, and to what extent these influential factors determine consumers' purchasing intention? Following the formulation of the research problem, objective, and questions, sampling is also an important step of our research. In the qualitative part of research, the sampling frame would be including all of the residents in Australia since protein intake is a must option for human beings. The sample size of our research is 400 participants plus minus 5% for errors. The sampling method for our quantitative research would use a quota sampling based on consumer diet preference. According to Cooper et al., they found that the diet preference could have a significant influences on consumers' perspective and attitudes toward plant-based products. Thus, we would like to distinguish our participants into three groups, which include vegans, meat reducer, and others. The statistic from Statista shows that there were 10% of Australians are vegan, 12% of Australians are meat reducer in 2019. Thus, for our research, we will refer to this proportion for our sampling. For the data gathering, we will allocate 4 online surveys within Australia IP address on social media platforms for cost reduction. We will use Google Ads, Facebook Ads, and Instagram Ads for finding participants using a $10 gift card as the reward for being our participant for our research. All of the questions in this survey will be structured questions, including multiple choice questions, ranking questions, and yes or no questions. This kind of response can be easily digitalized for data analyzing in the future. That's all of our information for quantitative part of our research. Then Liz will introduce our timeline and budget for our research.
Thank you, Bowie. Now let's move on to the budget part. For our qualitative research, we will provide coast gift cards to participants which will cost $1,000. Regarding the interviews, we will compensate the interviewees differently depending on weekdays and weekends. As shown in the slide, it would cost $538. Aside from that, we have some administrative costs of approximately $250, resulting in total budget of $1,778. In our quantitative research, the gift card setting would cost us $4,000. As our questionnaire surveys relies on the social media, so we additionally pay a cost of $1,500 for the advertising. Adding $250 for administrative purpose, our total cost would be $4,750 for that part. Regarding our time frame, we plan to complete our research in 4 months. After 2 weeks of developing research proposal and doing literature review, we will move on to the qualitative research planning, where we will spend 1 week developing survey question and another week to request our participant. As data analysis requires time and effort, so we will devote 2 weeks on that after completing our interview steps. Then we would utilize the materials given from the qualitative research to prepare our research and survey design for quantitative research, which would take us around 2 weeks to complete. We will launch our surveys for 3 weeks to collect data after 2 weeks of survey pretext and question adjustment. Finally, in the last 2 weeks, we would analyze the data from approximately 400 samples and complete our research report. And here is our reference list. That's all of our presentation. Thank you for watching.